Good morning, second grade. Happy Monday. Welcome back. We are going to be using our same standards as we did as last week. So remember last week we looked at how text features helped us locate key facts and information in our text. And this week we're going to do pretty much the same thing. So we're still going to look at our text features, but this week we're going to read a book called Introducing Africa. Last week we learned about Asia. This week we're going to learn about Africa and all the different parts of it, and the animals and the weather and the different landforms, right? Mountains and rivers that they have. So it's really a good book, and I just finished reading it myself, so I hope you guys enjoy it. So remember, we're going to look at our text features. So our text features, we have a title page. So that's going to tell us the title and the author. We have a table of contents, and that's going to list all the headings in the book and what page they're on. That can help us if we're trying to look for specific information, right? If I just want to learn about animals, then I can look at animals on my table of contents and see what page I need to turn to. We have headings, and that is the title of the different sections, and it tells us kind of what that page or that section is going to be about, right? Keywords, there are important words in our text that are in bold or italics or a different color, and they help us understand what we're reading. So those words are kind of sometimes tricky, so we kind of need a definition for it. So that's when we can turn to the back of the book and look at our glossary. And a glossary is like a little mini dictionary, and it tells us what our keywords mean. All right. Sometimes we have a photograph or a picture on the page. And captions. Captions are really helpful because they tell us what's going on in the picture. Sometimes it's a picture of something that we've never seen before, and a caption will tell us what we're looking at, so we better understand what we're seeing. All right, and then lastly, we have an index, and that's where you can look up different words and what page they're on. So if I would just want to learn about elephants, I can go to the index and look up elephants and see what page they're mentioned on. Okay? All right, so I already uploaded the video for today, and it is on the YouTube page, okay? And it's Introducing Africa, so you remember you can go back to that video all week and keep reading it and learning all about it, okay? So today you're only going to read pages 4 through 7 in Introducing Africa, which is only the first two sections, okay? Then complete the assignment about Africa, and then you're going to complete the discussion called Principal for the Day. And I want to know, if you were principal for the day, what would you do? What rules would you make? What would you have everyone eat for lunch? Would you guys still have classes? Would you make it a fun field day? Would everyone go on a field trip? I want to know what you guys would do. All right, and then you're going to read for 30 minutes. All right, so today I'm going to go ahead and start our new book, and it's called Because of Winn-Dixie. All right, now this is a really good story. All right, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Chapter 1. My name is India Opal Bolini. This summer, my daddy, the preacher, sent me to the store for a box of macaroni and cheese, some white rice, and 2 tomatoes, and I came back with a dog. This is what happened. I walked into the produce section of the Winn-Dixie grocery store to pick out my 2 tomatoes, and I almost bumped right into the store manager. He was standing there, all red-faced, screaming and waving his arms around. "Who let that dog in here?" he kept shouting. "Who let a dirty dog in here?" At first, I didn't see a dog. There were just a lot of vegetables rolling around on the floor, tomatoes and onions and green peppers, and there what seemed like a whole army of Winn-Dixie employees running around and waving their arms just the same way the store manager was waving his. And then the dog came running around the corner. He was a big dog, and ugly, and he looked like he was having a real good time. His tongue was hanging out, and he was wagging his tail, and he skidded to a stop and smiled at me. I had never before in my life seen a dog smile. But that's what he did. He pulled back his lips and he showed me all of his teeth, and then he wagged his tail so hard that he knocked some oranges off a display, and then went rolling everywhere, mixing in with the tomatoes and the onions and the green peppers. The manager screamed, "Somebody grab that dog!" The dog went running over to the manager, wagging his tail and smiling. He stood up on his hind legs. You could tell that all he wanted to do was get face to face with the manager and thank him for the good time he was having in the produce department. But somehow he ended up knocking the manager over. The manager must have been having a bad day, because lying there on the floor right in front of everybody, he started to cry. The dog leaned over him, real concerned, and licked his face. "Please," said the manager, "somebody call the pound." "Wait a minute," I hollered. That's my dog. Don't call the pound." All the Winn-Dixie employees turned around and looked at me, and I knew I had done something big, and maybe something stupid too, but I couldn't help it. I couldn't let that dog go to the pound. "Here, boy," I said. The dog stopped licking the manager's face, and he put his ears up in the air, looked at me like he was trying to remember where he knew me from. "Here, boy," I said again, and I figured that dog was probably just like everybody else in the world, that he wanted to get called by a name. Only I didn't know what his name was, so I just said the first thing that came into my head. I said, "Here, Winn-Dixie." And that dog came trotting over to me just like he had been doing it his whole life. The manager sat up and gave me a hard stare, like maybe I was making fun of him. "It's his name," I said. "Honest." The manager said, "Don't you know not to bring a dog into the grocery store?" "Yes, sir," I told him. "He got in by mistake. I'm sorry, it won't happen again." "Come on, Winn-Dixie," I said to the dog. I started walking, and he followed along behind me as I went out of the produce department and down the cereal aisle and past all the cashiers and out the door. Once we were safe outside, I checked him over real careful, and he didn't look that good. He was big, but skinny. You could see his ribs, and there were bald patches all over him, places where he didn't have any fur at all. Mostly, he looked like a piece of big old brown carpet that had been left out in the rain. "You're a mess," I told him. "I bet you don't belong to anyone." He smiled at me. He did that thing again where he pulled his lips and showed his teeth. He smiled so big that it made him sneeze, like he was saying, "I know I'm a mess, isn't it funny?" It's hard not to immediately fall in love with a dog who has a good sense of humor. "Come on," I told him. "Let's see what the preacher has to say about you." And the two of us, me and Winn-Dixie, started walking home. Well, that's kind of a silly way to get a dog. I've never heard of anyone getting a dog in the grocery store before. Have you? So we will have to see what her dad says about keeping Winn-Dixie. I don't know if he's going to like a dog who looks so dirty. We'll see. All right, I hope everyone has a great Monday and you guys turn in your work.